Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. Today we're going to talk about booster box expected value. What should you open? What should you keep sealed? Kind of think about the deep pocket monster. Should you open it or should you keep it sealed? We're just going to apply that logic to the Disney Lorcana booster box expected value and look at those. We're also going to talk about them from like an investment perspective and just kind of talk about the sealed side of Disney Lorcana. We have not talked about that in some time. One quick amendment to yesterday's video. I also picked up a Baymax, which I forgot to mention. It was upstairs. This card is, the Azurite Sea Enchanteds, I've said many times I'm not the biggest fan of, but Baymax I'm a massive fan of, right? And for my money, when we talk about rarity and collectability, that top 8 NA and EU championship, so there's 16 of them total, Baymax from the foil Baymax, the top placing from the championship rounds. Talk about, if I could have one card in Lorcana other than the 1/1 DKP Worlds card, it would absolutely be that Baymax. What a fantastic card. And when you understand rarity like that card, it's insane how valuable it is. Okay. Last but not least, happy pumpkin spice latte day. My wife was very fired up this morning to go and get a PSL, which, hey, look, when PSL time comes, that means it's essentially football time. So for any of my football fans out there, we're almost there, a couple weeks away. All right, getting into the expected value and booster box breakdown. So we'll start at the top with the Disney Lorcana, the first chapter, most iconic set. Right now, expected value for this box is about $118. 40% of that value is made up of the enchanteds, and 21% of that value is made up of the foils. A box right now is currently sitting around $236, and I've got a lot to say about the first chapter, so we'll be here for a minute. Real quick, if you do want this data for yourself and not listen to me spew for as long as I'm going to spew here about it, you can join the Discord. There's a link in the description to the video, and you'll be able to get this information. There's a channel in there called Booster Box EV. There's a member of the community who wishes to remain anonymous who's built a fantastic bot, and we get this kind of updated every morning. Anytime it breaks, they get it figured out and get it fixed. So they wish to remain anonymous, but they're an absolute stud. Thank you very much to them for providing that to all of us. So the first chapter, I think it's in a very unique spot, obviously, and I'll set the stage for the investment world and the speculation world. A lot of that has left Disney Lorcana. You hear a lot of these card shops who do YouTube, like whether it's Rudy or there's another one called like Gone Rogue Games who did the Spider-Man news drop or whatever. The Spider-Man might be coming to Disney Lorcana. A lot of these guys, they poo-poo Lorcana pretty frequently, and it's clear that they don't really understand Lorcana. Rudy is out on Lorcana for one main reason, and he doesn't really disclose this. And he was offered at one point one palette of the Inklands, but that was because the Inklands was printed to oblivion. But his current business model, the online game store, right, just an online reseller, that's all he is. The product gets drop shipped to him, he packages it and sends it out to the people who want to buy it from him. That model doesn't work for Disney Lorcana. You are not allowed to sell the product if you do not own a physical location, right? That's one of the stipulations that Ravensburger has in place to limit essentially people just kind of like flipping it online. They want you to actually go into the LGS. They want you to engage in the game. They want to get foot traffic into the LGS to support them, and that's kind of their core business model. So people like Rudy feel slighted, essentially, that they don't get access to the product. And so he's constantly poo-pooing it. Gone Rogue Games was the same way. Now, he actually has a physical location, to my understanding, but when he talks about Lorcana, it's clear that he doesn't understand it. But a lot of the speculation and the people who don't love Lorcana are playing in other pools right now. Essentially, Pokemon, Magic, you buy a box, it goes up $100 overnight, you sell that box, and it's just free tendies, right? Now, what I like about Lorcana right now is while there's not as much liquidity, there's not as much, people speculating here, the fan base is continuing to grow in terms of the people that I'm talking to. You're getting on Reddit. There's constantly new people opening product, pulling their first enchanted, and we're getting that kind of organic player base and growth and collector base growth while all this other madness is going on. But people forget that, like I said, in 2024, the Pokemon shelves were full of product. Like literally full. You could go to Target and the entire display was full of product. And the same goes for Magic, whatever, right? But now that we're in this massive cycle where everything's just an investment, the shelves are cleared, you get some additional poo-pooing of Lorcana because they simply have product on the shelves. But guys, that is what a healthy market looks like, right? People are still buying the product, stuff is still getting sold, it's just not getting flipped immediately, which is good news, right? You need times like this to have stable growth. There's a lot of times last year when I would go and buy Pokemon or look for Lorcana, the Pokemon shelves were full, but Lorcana was gone, right? And so these cycles happen, but these people who are only in it for the money, they just simply see that Lorcana's on the shelves and nothing else is, so that means the game's dying, and that's just not true, right? And so I would encourage you, right? There's a lot of investment talk about like, be greedy when others are fearful, blah, blah, blah. I think that right now, from a speculation perspective, I think right now is a perfect time to buy Disney Lorcana. Now, look, I own a lot of the products I'm going to talk about today, so I'm kind of pumping my own bags in that sense. But I also just believe in Disney Lorcana, despite a lot of the recent hiccups, right? I've been very critical of them lately, and I will continue to do so when I feel it's necessary. But as an entire, when I look at Lorcana as a trading card game and as a collectible, I still feel very, very bullish on it. And so the first chapter right now, we know that whenever we had the most recent kind of release of product from Ravensburger, they said that there will be this is your last chance to buy the product. So that means no more's coming, no more's being reprinted. This is it, right? And so whenever we look at these boxes at 236, this is the lowest they've been in a very long time. And so, we were up at almost double what they are now. It's then cratered off. It got as low as 210, it looks like, and now it's kind of gaining some traction back up to the 240-ish area. But at the end of the day, this is as cheap as it's been. And so if you're new to Disney Lorcana, this is kind of your best time to get in, right? If you believe in Disney Lorcana and you want to buy the first chapter, I would say do not buy it to open it. But if you want to buy it to have it and set it aside just to remember the time that you were here, whatever, as an investment, collectible, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a great time to buy it because we know that there's no more coming to market. And while we have seen plenty of this come to market over the last 18 to 24 months, which once again, when we talk about like print cycles, like this game is still relatively new. Like first chapter hasn't been out that long. Like, it's not insane that it's this price. Like, it's just people lose sight of like what a healthy market looks like. Like this is a healthy market and it is a great time to buy it if you believe in the future of Disney Lorcana. I think 236 is a steal. Once again, a few short months ago, we were seeing it sell for $424. And so, yeah, I'm a fan at this price. To buy it, to open it, that's a different story. Obviously, you do what you want to do. I cannot recommend opening it at this time. Last thing I'll mention on the first chapter, and we'll kind of speed this up a little bit. You will see that cases have started to outprice the individual boxes. I've been calling for this for a long time. I think that this was a long time coming, and right now, if you buy 4 individual boxes, you're closer to like $1,000 price point. If you want to get a case, you're going to be paying a premium, which I think we're going to continue to see that gap widen, in my opinion. All right, next up, the Rise of the Floodborne, currently at a $58 expected value. So another one that I cannot recommend opening. However, a box price is not that bad right now at around $140. I think that this is very much in the same lane as the first chapter. I think that it's fine to buy as a collectible. It's fine to buy as an investment. In terms of buying to open it, I'm coming at this, and once again, I think it's probably important to frame. I have opened a ton of all of these sets. I have been around from right after the very start. I don't need to open these products anymore, and so I'm looking at it from a value perspective. What can I open and maybe pull an enchanted, but then sell some of the singles to recoup my investment into the overall products? That way, I have more money to buy additional cards, whatever. Right now, with the expected value of being $58, but a box being $140, I just can't tell you in the right mind that you should open it. But if you want to open it, go for it, right? I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. Do whatever you prefer and whatever is fun for you. Just know that right now at 140, your expected value is about 60. I think that it's hit that kind of collectible threshold as it relates to that specific product. But there's some that have definitely not and make sense to open, and we'll get to those in a second. Into the Inklands, continuing the same vein here. A booster box is about $87. Expected value is down at $40. So, you're essentially, if you open it, just expect to cut your money in half, right? In terms of value. And so those are ones that I don't recommend opening. But if you don't have any Inklands and you want to open it, go for it. If not, buy some to set aside. One thing that I always like, anytime I talk about the Inklands, that I like to keep top of mind is this was by far the most widely available set in the United States. This set was available at $5 like bin stores we saw on Reddit. It was so massively printed. It's everywhere. It's so funny when I buy collections, it never fails. They'll have some of every set, right? But without a doubt, they always have the most Inklands. Just without fail, my Inklands stock is insane. Like I probably got like 40 or 50 Kitas at this point. Like it's preposterous. There's so much Inklands out there, especially in the United States. I know that's not the case in the EU as much. They had a lot more floodborne than we did. But Into the Inklands was massively printed here stateside. So just something to keep in mind. Definitely, I wouldn't. Look, your $80 is probably best spent somewhere else, but if you want to go and get a booster box of the Inklands, then right now is not a bad time to pick it up, because I doubt we're going to see any more of it hit the market in any sort of substantial amount. Ursula's Return is up next. Expected value lowest in the entire series right now at $40, $39. You can get a box for about $82, so very similar to Into the Inklands. Not going to belabor the point here. The Enchanteds are very cheap. It's kind of being carried by like Belle Accomplished Mystic that was rotated, Mulan, Elite Archer. There's just not a lot going on here. In a world where Diablo has lost most of its value, this card is this set is doing very poorly. I will say for my single speculators out there who are going to be around for a while, once Infinity picks up and once should there be a world where Diablo is ever reprinted, right now I think Diablo is like $7. This was like a $40 legendary for a long time. If you want to speculate on the single side, a $7 Diablo is probably a pretty good deal if we ever get, a big resurgence in Infinity, or we get a Diablo reprint in any subsequent set. I think that $7 legendary is going to be a very, very good purchase. Okay, moving on to some sets that we can actually open, starting with Shimmering Skies. Expected value at $70 right now, and a box is around $95. So this is look, $95 to $70, not a terrible idea. I will say they also have, this particular set has one of my favorite enchanteds, if you're not familiar, the Mufasa, ruler of Pride Rock, one of the best arts in the game, in my opinion, coming out of a booster box. Absolutely iconic card. It's still sitting around $180, even though it's not used in the meta whatsoever, because it's just a fan favorite. Who doesn't love Mufasa? Who doesn't love a Disney Lorcana enchanted art? It's got everything going for it, and it's an absolute tank of a card if you ever can use it, but unfortunately that just doesn't look like it's going to be the case right now. But nevertheless, $95 to $70. Not that bad. You also have the perk of starting with Shimmering Skies through the rest of the sets we're going to talk about. You have the perk of these cards are in the current rotation of Core Constructed. And so these cards can be used in the game. And so therefore, as the meta continues to develop and things shake up, you can see massive price spikes for some of these cards that really can impact the expected value, where the expected value for Shimmering Skies can go from $70 to $90 over the span of a couple weeks if some of their cards start to pop off and really define the meta. Then you can see that, right? So that's kind of some added bonus for Shimmering Skies. Next up, we have Azurite Sea, which is in a very strong spot to open. Unfortunately, the enchanteds for this set are by far the worst as it relates to value. Let's see, am I an idiot? Where's our Azurite Sea? Azurite Sea right now, a box costs $94.94. Expected value is $92. Now, the thing about this box is enchanteds only make up 12% of the value. So by far the worst enchanted selection as it relates to market value. I'm in agreement with the market there. I've said it for a long time. I don't fault them for trying to mix it up and bring a new experience to the, they had a new theme, the treasure map, etc. It wasn't for me. Take my Baymax and that's enough in terms of collectability. But the set does do very well as it relates to playable cards. So you can do very well, and with Azurite Sea, box price and EV are essentially right flush with each other. And so if you want to open product, Azurite Sea is one that I would highly recommend. And I know a lot of you told me whenever I was poo-pooing Azurite Sea Enchanteds that you loved them. go get them because they are free 99. There is no doubt about it. Next up, Arcasia's Island. Let's see here. Box price for Arcasia's is around 87, which I'm surprised by that. Arcasia's has done very well forever. Box prices, our expected value is 90. So your plus EV on Arcasia's Island if you do open it. And so I would say if you're once again if you're in the market for some singles, Arcasia's Island does also have an amazing enchanted roster from top to bottom. Massive fan of this set as it relates to the enchanted lineup. Obviously, Tamatoa Happy as a Clam, just one of the GOAT enchanteds. I'll go to my grave on that. Aurora Waking Beauty is gorgeous. You have a couple good doggo artworks that are also good in the game. The Dark Magician, Donald Duck, great. The Jafar is awesome. All is found, awesome. Frozen art. I mean, from top to bottom in terms of art, I would say Belle is probably like my least favorite. I just didn't love that particular artwork. I didn't love the hero artwork either. But by and large, from top to bottom, Azurite or Arcasia's Island has a very, very good enchanted roster. But the enchanteds only make up 22% of the set. And so they're definitely, you're going to get a lot of good playable cards as well. And that's in an environment where Tamatoa Happy as a Clam, a legendary that was around $60, now sitting around $24. Once again, for my playable card single speculators, maybe not a bad time to get some Tamatoa stocks, if you will. All right. Next up, we have Reign of Jafar, the Belle of the Ball. Expected value of this box is sitting around $125, and you can get a booster box for $90. So you can pay $90, and when you open a box of Reign of Jafar, you're expected to get $125. This is where we want to be. This is what we're looking for Fabled as Fabled comes out. We're hoping to see some disconnect between what the box price actually is versus what the expected value coming out of that box is. Right now, Reign of Jafar is a smash open opportunity. You can often find this for around $3 to $4 price per pack, and your expected value is going to be much, much higher than that. So, Reign of Jafar, if you want to open Disney Lorcana, you're not taking on leverage, you're not taking on debt, you just want to open some product, Reign of Jafar is where you want to be. In addition to Reign of Jafar just being a great spot in terms of expected value, only 22% of the set of the value is made up of enchanteds, but the enchanteds absolutely hit. This set has some amazing artworks. The enchanteds from top to bottom look amazing. You have awesome cards like It Means No Worries for the 90s. You've got some Lilo, some Stitch, Into the Unknown. It's great in the game. It's also a fantastic card, fantastic piece of art. You've got some Mushu. Like, there's something for everybody in this set. Reign of Jafar was a tremendous set, and the set overall has held up just incredibly well. As it relates to value, we only have one enchanted that's sub $50. That is very, very rare. Obviously, expected value has been helped out quite a bit as our Queen Jasmine here has shot up the ranks in terms of value. $297. And this thing has been flying off the shelves. We have not seen anyone really take that step yet from 153 to the doubling to 300. We'll see what shakes out there. But Reign of Jafar is in a great spot to open. So really, I think to kind of tie this all together and put a bow on it, right now, if you want to open Disney Lorcana, I think that set 5 through 8 are where you can really do that and be okay in terms of expected value. But really, those most recent sets of Arcasia's Island and Reign of Jafar are where you're going to do good. Reign of Jafar obviously doing the best. Sets 1 through 4, as these sets get rotated out and only a few cards get brought forward, that's where it really looks like these are going to turn into heavy collectible boxes. And so that's where sets 1 through 4, just from a pure expected value standpoint, I think that your best bet is to just leave those sealed and set them aside. And then look, maybe once Lorcana becomes more collectible and more collectors come into Lorcana and they understand the true rarity of these enchanteds, right? Or not even rarity, because there's plenty of them out there, but the scarcity of how hard they are to pull. Enchanteds just as a if just as an entire, I guess we'll call it asset class or whatever, they are incredibly undervalued in my opinion, because they're just the amount of collectors is not here to satisfy the amount of demand these cards are on the market. But once again, as that collector base continues to grow with things like Fabled, adding in the new rarities, things like the cruise promos, the collector's quest, they're doing a lot on the collector side as well. Apparently, there's been rumors that Fabled is going to be a tighter print run. I'm not the biggest. The print run stuff, I don't know. I don't think there's a. I don't know. I see both sides of it, but I tend to lean that should not be a focus for a trading card game company. But nevertheless, the overall, I think that set 1 through 4, keep it sealed. Set 5 through 8, you can definitely open it. And then Fabled, I did talk. So an update, if you made it this long, you're in the thick of it. But I talked to another LGS yesterday, and they actually got confirmation of their allocation yesterday, and they were going to be getting products either tomorrow or Thursday. And so they had boxes available for $125 for pre-sale. I will say that store typically sells them to me for $100, kind of like right above cost. And they are selling them for $125 for Fabled. So look, I was happy that they had it. Because once again, in a world where they're building this set and releasing the set with 80% reprints to help new players find cards, well, if all the boxes are just being scalped and there's none on the market, that kind of defeats the purpose, right? And then you just kind of wasted a whole set. So hopefully we've got plenty on the market. It looks like for a case of Fabled, you're looking at $577. And then for a box of Fabled, let's see here, let's filter to sealed. I think it's around 150 on TCG Player. Yep, 150 on TCG Player for a box right now. You can see there's been plenty of boxes selling here: 52, 108, 47, etc. So lots of boxes are starting to get listed and sold. Talk to your LGS. Hopefully they are very similar to mine, where they're getting their news now. But look, once again, as of right now, my intention, I have 0 pre-ordered, and my intention is to order 0. But if there is a world where I can get them for $125 from my LGS, and the expected value is 170, 180, 200, 250, or whatever, right? Depending on what these iconics and enchanted start to sell for, then I'll be the first one to eat crow and go and buy them. My natural attraction to this set, being 80% reprints, is just it's not there. And so while I've been asking for the additional rarity tiers and been, they gave me what I was asking for as it relates to the collectability, the core constructed cards just are not there to support it. So I'm worried about the expected value, but if we see a world where the expected value makes sense, I'll be the first one to hop in line to support an LGS. So with that being said, I think that's pretty much it for today's video. I'll just end on some of the general investment talk and rambling or whatever here. It's so crazy how, going to Collecticon this weekend, seeing the amount that these boxes have appreciated in price in terms of Pokemon, I think just has, it's just a wild world we're in. Like, for example, I remember in 2024, I was haggling with my LGS for a team up booster box. They wanted $2,000 for it. I was trying to get it for $1,800 or $1,900. And they're a smart LGS. They've had a lot of Pokemon from the beginning, and so they understand the dynamics of it, and they wouldn't budge at all. And I just decided, hey, whatever, I'll go buy some enchanteds, whatever. Didn't buy the box. And now it's $9,200. So it's gone up essentially 5x in a year, which is absolutely insane for some of these boxes. And even Sword and Shield Air and just anything in Pokemon and Magic that you touch, it just turns to gold kind of immediately. And I'm just so interested to see how long this is going to last. And then whenever the bubble does pop, whenever the cycle does break, what does the fallout look like? Because so many people, I cannot stress this enough, so many people are engaging in Pokemon and Magic right now that could not care less about either game. And I mean not a effing percentage of care. They are only there to make money, right? And so once the money goes and this pile of cardboard that they don't care about becomes storage, right? And just taking up space, a risk being in the house, then what does the downfall look like of that? I think it's going to be pretty bad. I will say I've been pleasantly surprised and also scared of a lot of the singles in Pokemon are tracking very well. In addition to the sealed boxes, which I love because I don't believe in this world where like the box itself is collectible if the things inside of it are not. Like I do not believe in that. I refute the dichotomy that a box itself can be collectible if the assets inside are not. Like that just makes no sense to me. I think if we're at that point, like that's a red flag to me. And so, you know, a lot of the Lorcana boxes, like they're very cheap and the cards inside of them are very cheap, right? Like there's like, unless you pull an Elsa in the first chapter, like, you know, what's Elsa right now? Like $600-700, like you're probably going to be burned, right? But there's at least Elsa in there that can kind of carry the load. Same with Cinderella for Rise of the Floodborne, Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood for Inklands, etc. But in a world where these cards have no value, the boxes shouldn't have value either. And I understand they're a depreciating asset and all the economics behind it, but you know, I'm a firm believer that the cards have to be valuable, they have to be collectible, and things like, you know, like Bubble Mew from Paldean Fates is I think it was like $800 or something. Like, what is that, man? Like that is absolutely insane in terms of what some of these cards are doing now. I just can't even believe it. It looks like or here, let's see here. Let me share my screen. A near mint Bubble Mew, $815 is a near mint Bubble Mew. I mean, I sold this card for like $100 last year. People are paying $650 for it. What is this world for a brand? I mean, not a brand new set, but a set that's relatively new. Absolutely insane. Just, dude, we are truly in unprecedented times. A brand new card. The Charizard from 151 is oh man, well, yeah. Search Charizard and Pokemon. Surely that'll find what you need. Yeah, I don't know. Just we're in such a weird time with these singles where, oh, here we go. So many of them have been printed. So many of them are out there, and $250 for a 151 near mint Charizard. I've always thought that neck was interesting on this Charizard. It's like, where's his neck at? He's kind of like all head and body, but yeah, what a wild time in Pokemon. Absolute insanity. But nevertheless, I mean, look, in terms of bringing it back to Lorcana and to finish this video up, there is, there's a lot of, and I talked about it a little bit, but there's so much of the money and speculation has gone to Pokemon and Magic. It was in Lorcana for a while, right? Lorcana, there was times where every day I was opening or looking at my collection and it was like doubling in value, right? And that happened for a long time in Disney Lorcana. And I'll say, like, the reason why I have so much confidence is because, like, when I came in, Elsa was 500. Elsa then went to 1,500. Now she's around, 700-800, whatever. But, like, I bought Elsa at 500, right? So I bought in when it was at, like, its low point, right? Like, I was buying Cinderellas for $150 or whatever, Ballroom Sensations. I got so many of my cards so cheap that, like, some people feel burned and some people are mad at the prices. Like, I'm very, very happy with where I'm at, and nothing has changed with the overall fundamentals. They've had a lot of growing pains in terms of Ravensburger and Lorcana, but at the end of the day, it's still an absolutely massive IP that has massive potential. Their vertical integration is unlike anything else. They have the ability to do cruise promos. They have the ability to do movie promos. They have the ability to be stocked up in retail, LGS. They could release something on Disney Plus. They could release a game. Like, they have, look, I'm not saying that stuff's coming, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of the overall potential, right, assuming Disney gets more and more engaged, like, the top line of Disney Lorcana is very, very high. I don't think it's ever going to become Pokemon. Pokemon's a once in a lifetime, like, IP, TCG, just everything that happened there is a once in a lifetime thing. But that does not mean that Disney Lorcana is not going to be strong and cannot be a very, very successful trading card game and collectible game, as I think they're shaping up to do both very, very well. And so, look, I'm still going to CollectCon, buying cards. I'm still adding to my collection. I still have collection goals. I'm going to continue to focus on that here. I completely get, look, if you don't love Lorcana like I do, right? Like, I have this innate experience intimate experience with my daughter of opening these packs and just having a really, really good time with the game, playing with my friends, right? Like, I just have so much drawing me to it. But from a pure investment perspective, like, yeah, go buy a Pokemon box and, like, hope it doubles, right? Like, I mean, don't be the one caught holding the bag, as some of these things that have increased so significantly. there's a world where we have a drawback, and I know a lot of probably Pokemon people don't want to hear that, but it's just the case. Anytime you see massive gains like this, it just makes sense. But nevertheless, just I'm very very excited for Disney Lorcana. Excited to get into set 10 and continue down this this path. Let's get some deals, some Disney Lorcana challenge events going. Let's get the Ink event. Let's get Southside. Let's get PPG. Let's start to get this competitive season popping here for the Fabled season. Yeah, I'm gonna keep buying shiny cardboard in the meantime, and we'll see what happens. I can't see the future, but I'm overall I'm very very happy with where everything's at. Stuff's on a discount right now, right? And so if you're an investor, if you're a speculator, or if you're just a collector like me, the saying of "be greedy when others are fearful," like now is your time to strike, right? Cards are very very cheap right now, whether that's playable cards like Diablo or whether that's enchanteds. There's a ton of enchanteds right now. Like dude, the Mirabelle set champs, and really it goes for all the set champs. Like these cards had to be won by winning or placing top 8 at a tournament. Now, sure, those tournaments were happening all over the United States, but people just don't understand the rarity of that card that doesn't come out of a booster pack that's only awarded to the top 8 for this very finite amount of time, never going to be reprinted. Like, it's, look, the collector base in Disney Lorcana is just very, very new, and there's not a lot of us, right? And so that leads to very cheap prices. But if they ever are able to convert into a kind of like a split or a majority collector base card game, like those cards, like just they should be treated like they should be at a museum, and they're being treated like they should be at Walmart, and there's just a massive disconnect there, in my opinion. So, nevertheless, thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate you all. And have a great day.